Hey, it's Will Wofford with Berkshire Hathaway York Simpson Underwood Realty in Raleigh. And today I'd like to take you on a tour of East Raleigh. We'll visit Woodcrest, Belvedere Park, Longview Gardens, and King Charles. These are some pretty neat areas that are super convenient to downtown, and they're essentially in the center of Raleigh. So come on, let's take a ride and let's go see East Raleigh, and I sure hope you enjoy it. As we begin our tour in the Woodcrest neighborhood, you can see from the map I've provided, this location is really just below Oakwood and sits across the street from Mordecai. If you're familiar with Raleigh, the Circus Restaurant is the landmark in between Mordecai and Belvedere Park and Woodcrest. So this location is very convenient to downtown. The homes are generally on the smaller side, but the lots are really nice, at just under 1/3 of an acre on average in Woodcrest. The current schools assigned to both this neighborhood and Belvedere Park are Conn Elementary, Ligon Middle, and Enloe High School. If the schools are important to you, I recommend visiting the Wake County Public School lookup page, where you can enter the property address to identify the schools assigned for both the current and upcoming school years. Okay, there are 288 homes in the neighborhood and 83% are owner occupied. There were 10 sales in the last 12 months and 21 sales if you look back 24 months. So turnover is pretty consistent at 3.5% per year, which means it's probably going to be somewhat difficult to find the property you want at a reasonable price in this neighborhood if you're competing with lots of other buyers. Generally, you need turnover above 7% to increase your odds of successfully finding and purchasing property which meets your criteria. Properties in this neighborhood generally range in size from 1,100 to 2,000 square feet, with a median size of 1,600 square feet in the last 24 months. Reviewing all 288 homes in the neighborhood, 1,360 square feet is the median size, and prices have ranged from $240,000 to $509,000 in the last 12 months, with a median price of $355,000. The homes were typically built around 1958. You will see a few new construction homes, but not many in this neighborhood, not just yet. What you will find are flip homes that have been extensively updated, sitting on the original foundation. Contractors typically replace everything essential down to the wiring, so the outer appearance of some of these homes can be misleading when they may actually be in much better condition on the inside than they appear. All of the homes in the neighborhoods we'll see today have city water and sewer with no annual HOA fees. The first two neighborhoods on the tour, Woodcrest and Belvedere Park, are located on the extreme northwest portion of the East Raleigh map I'll show you. Looking at the map, the majority of properties that lie in between these neighborhoods and Raleigh Country Club are typically either part of the larger King Charles area or part of Longview Gardens. So I find that by looking at East Raleigh from this perspective, it's easier to understand the overall area and process what you're looking at. And to put this in a little more context, Belvedere Park and Woodcrest are basically across from Mordecai and just below Oakwood. So later, as we drive to Longview Gardens, we'll cross Raleigh Boulevard. So the two neighborhoods we're in right now sit between Raleigh Boulevard and Capitol Boulevard or Person Street, and the next neighborhood we'll visit after Belvedere Park is Longview Gardens, which lies in between Raleigh Boulevard and New Bern Avenue. So hopefully this kind of puts it in context where these neighborhoods are located in relation to each other within East Raleigh and their overall proximity to downtown. Also, I'm not going to say you're going to walk to downtown from either Belvedere Park or Woodcrest, but you are fairly close. As we arrive in Belvedere Park, there are 204 homes in the neighborhood and 73% are owner occupied. There were 17 sales in the last 12 months and 28 sales in the last 24 months, which represents a 6.9% average turnover that's increasing. Additionally, there was one new construction sale in the last 24 months. So new construction is not really a factor here at just under 2% of sales. I do think it's worth mentioning, however, that new construction homes sold for $490,000 and was 2,030 square feet in size. So that's around $241 per foot. The rest of the homes in this area are what I call resale homes, and there were 27 resales in the last 24 months, which represents 98% of sales. These properties ranged in size from 750 to 1,800 square feet, with a median size of 1,100 square feet. Prices ranged from $250,000 to $483,000, with the median sales price of $335,000. The properties were built between 1940 and 2018, with a median build year of 1950, and the typical lot size you'll find in Belvedere Park is 0.21 of an acre. Remember, in Woodcrest, I said the median size was 0.29 of an acre, so that's a considerable difference. So in general, the lots are a little bit smaller in this neighborhood as compared to Woodcrest, but the shapes of the lots in both neighborhoods are very good, and by that I mean they're all very consistent if you look at them on a plat map, and down the road, if you decide you want to tear your house down so you can rebuild with a new construction home, I think you'll find that the shapes in general and the dimensions of these lots are very favorable. So in general, I think the property values in both neighborhoods should continue to increase, and the location is excellent. So if you like the size of the homes in Belvedere Park and the age of the homes and the price point meets your criteria, you'll likely be able to acquire property in this neighborhood. All right, we're heading to our next neighborhood, Longview Gardens. And as you can see on the map, this area actually continues on both sides of New Bern Avenue, but I'm only going to drive and discuss the northwest side, which is across New Bern Avenue from the golf course. I really like this neighborhood because it's convenient to downtown. And by convenient, I mean you're not going to walk there, but since the neighborhood is just off New Bern Avenue, it's a straight shot to downtown, so I think the neighborhood is often overlooked. And it's my opinion, you really get a lot for your money in this neighborhood in terms of house, lot size, and the overall condition of the property. Okay, there are two lakes in Longview Gardens, and you'll see them in just a second. And they're not big lakes by any means, but it provides for a pretty nice overall feel and ambience for the neighborhood. There are 264 homes in Longview Gardens on the side I'm covering. 216 are owner occupied, or 82%, with 10 sales in the last 12 months and 16 homes sold in the last 24 months. So that's a 3% turnover. There's also been one new construction sale within the last 12 months. So new construction represents 10% of this year's sales. We'll drive by the new construction home in a second, but I'll mention the one new construction sale was for a very modern house with a really modern design that was kind of unusual, with around 2,700 square feet that sold for $740,000. Some of the streets you see coming up, like Derby, aren't actually part of the Longview Gardens neighborhood, but they're actually part of the larger area, King Charles. All right, so I want to mention the map that's going by on the screen. This shows the larger neighborhood of King Charles, and I want you to understand that when you combine Longview Acres with King Charles, Woodcrest, and Belvedere Park, that pretty much covers all of East Raleigh. So I think that by watching this video, you'll have a good overall feel for the homes and pricing that you can expect to find in East Raleigh. We'll see quite a few homes like Derby Street that are outside of Longview Gardens, but are within the larger King Charles area, and I'll try to point those out. Generally, those properties have smaller lots, while Longview Garden has some of the largest, most consistent lots with a median size of around half an acre. There have been 9 resale homes in Longview Gardens in the last 12 months, and the properties have ranged in size from 1,000 to 2,454 square feet. The median property size in this neighborhood is around 1,800 square feet. Okay, we are in the King Charles area right now, but I want you to notice the new construction homes on the right. This is typical, I think, for what you're going to see going forward in the neighborhood, both this neighborhood and the larger King Charles area. Recent sales in Longview Gardens have ranged from $188,000 to $675,000 in the last 12 months, with a median sales price of $390,000. The median year built for homes in this neighborhood is 1965, but you will find properties that were built from 1934 to 2019. The neighborhood has city water and sewer, as I mentioned earlier, with no HOA fee, and the median lot size is 0.55 of an acre, and that's what I really like about the neighborhood, with tons of open area. In general, 0.26 of an acre, or just above a quarter acre, is about the smallest lot you'll find in Longview Gardens. So I think you really get a lot for your money looking at the combination of property and lot size as compared to Belvedere Park or Woodcrest. Okay, some of the streets that we're passing now, Derby, Milburnie, Culpeper, etc., those streets are not in Longview Gardens, but they are part of the larger King Charles area. And really, the difference with the King Charles area and the associated properties in that area are those properties will sell for less because the lots and homes are generally smaller, and the neighborhood was not as carefully designed as Longview Gardens, which incorporates lots of open space. Okay, as we pick up Bertie Street, I want to point out that this street actually runs the perimeter of Longview Gardens. So if you look at the map, it goes from New Bern Avenue to the lakes on the opposite side of Longview Gardens, where you pick up Albemarle. So this street essentially outlines the perimeter of Longview Gardens. So if you're on this street, you know you're on the outer edge of the neighborhood. So looking at Google Maps the other day, it was interesting. I was looking at Longview Gardens and the lake disappeared. It wasn't there. Well, they actually drained the large lake and made extensive repairs to it. Making repairs to a lake, you get to tell me exactly what that means, but if you look at the map, I mean, you can see trucks and all kinds of big trucks out there. So it looks like they've totally refortified this lake. So it should be good to go. All right, Albemarle will take you to New Bern Avenue, and that's where I'm going to show you next. We'll take New Bern Avenue around to give you a better idea of exactly where the neighborhood is. So there's actually a pretty good shopping center right across from Longview Gardens, and that shopping center has a grocery store, and they've also got a movie theater called the Alamo. The Alamo was kind of a new movie theater concept a couple years ago where you could order really good burgers and pizza and all kinds of food and desserts, and they served it to you while you're watching the movie. They also have a really good selection of local microbrews as well. Now, I'm sure the COVID pandemic hasn't been good for that business, but it was a really neat concept, and you just got the sense that this whole area was in the midst of a revitalization and was becoming a really hip place to hang out and also to live. I know the pandemic put a damper on that business, but I really don't think it's going to dampen the demand for this area. I think this area is likely to be a hot spot for the next few years as properties are purchased and renovated or rebuilt. As we're driving, I remember telling you the typical lot in Longview Gardens is just over half an acre. And as you can see, the homes are pretty nice and the prices here are affordable. So when you're looking at Raleigh in general, I just think this is a really attractive price point for a lot of people. Okay, so we're picking up Clarendon Street right here, and it's directly across the street from Ligon School. And there are actually some really nice homes directly across from the school. We'll take this road up to New Bern Avenue and take it back around to Bertie. So we're going to ride in on the opposite end of Longview Gardens and come in on Bertie for a different perspective. After, we're going to pick up King Charles and take it out to New Bern Avenue, where we'll be right across from the shopping center with the Alamo that I was telling you about. Okay, so these first few homes that you'll see on Bertie when we first pull in off New Bern Avenue, they're not part of the Longview neighborhood, but they are part of the larger King Charles neighborhood. They're going to have smaller lot sizes and smaller properties with cheaper prices. I just want to point that out. All right, so as soon as we make this left, the Alamo or the shopping center I was telling you about will be on the right. WakeMed Hospital is about 2 miles down the road, and downtown is about 2 miles in the opposite direction. So it's a very convenient location. Wofford again with Berkshire Hathaway York Simpson Underwood Realty. Well, I sure do hope you enjoyed my tour of East Raleigh. If you have any questions about this area or any other area in Raleigh, please feel free to reach out to me and I'd be glad to help you. If you like the video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. And thanks so much for watching.